Yo, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. It is the Showtime Forum post game show, and Kyle Kuzma. That's it. That's the tweet. Lakers win 124-121, a much needed win. I got my boy Chaez in here. Listen, I'm about to just let my boy get loose because there's nobody on earth who has been a bigger advocate for Kyle Kuzma, up or down. I'm gonna be honest with you, up or down, than Chaz Pearson. So Chaz, man, what did you think of tonight? Plenty to talk about. Take the floor, my friend.
Bro, I'm only gonna be on here for a little bit with you. I'm at my sister's birthday party upstairs, um, watching the game, and I said, "Yo, I gotta hop on." So I don't know. Excuse me if the quality is a little bit bad, the Wi-Fi or anything like that. But I just have to say, Kuz did his thing. This is why you need to play Kuz more than 30 minutes a game. If not, at least start the guy because, I tweeted out in the first quarter. As you can see, when Kuz starts a game, he is just more engaged on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. He's just more engaged, and he's just more interested, and he plays just a little bit harder. And he just is able to find his role, make all the little plays. I mean, he had a great game. I mean, I don't even know what he put up statistically as far as points, rebounds, and his, but just his overall demeanor. I mean, 25 points, 3 of 5 from three, hit the game-winning three-point shot, coming off a great play that Vogel drew up out of the.
Uh-oh. Looks like we lost Chaz. Looks like we lost the man. I don't even think he's there anymore. Listen, he was on a roll and he was talking right. He was talking right. So guys, listen. Kyle Kuzma went off tonight, and like he was saying, so let's just talk about statistically what was happening. Chaz brought up a very good point about how essentially, um, as far as how Kyle Kuzma plays, if you give him 30 plus minutes, he tends to perform better. Tonight he had 38 minutes along with Anthony Davis, and I'm sorry, he had 33 minutes. LeBron and AD had 38. But look at these point totals: AD with 27 points, LeBron James with 29 points, and Kyle Kuzma with 25. And this is the kind of balanced three-headed monster that a lot of people wanted to have. I mean, this is what we were anticipating. And like I kept saying, if this ever blossomed, then this was going to be a very dangerous thing for teams. And so tonight, it made it very difficult to know who to stick in that last play. Now we're used to the Kobe Bryant era where it didn't matter. It didn't matter who was on the team. There could have been 36 people on that team. You know who the ball is going to, and the ball is going to go to Kobe Bryant. But in this instance, when you have two superstars and then you have a budding guy who has the potential to be a star if he could ever get consistent, and tonight you didn't just see him in spurts. You're seeing the Kyle Kuzma that essentially I believe he's finally blossomed into something. Because here's the idea: he's playing defense well. He had 2 steals tonight. He's rebounding, 6 rebounds, and one of them was an offensive rebound. He's scoring points and doing it efficiently, 3 of 5 from 3, scoring 25 points, finding his spaces and doing it well. Aggressive, not just settling for 3-pointers, but aggressive going to the paint. His quickness looked like it's picked all the way up. He has found his space in this three-headed monster. And what we've been saying all season is this: we're looking for Kyle Kuzma to find his space alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis, not be the guy who can only score when LeBron or AD is out, not be the guy who can only shoot when he's coming off the bench against the second unit. We need you to be the third efficient scorer. And hats off to Denver Nuggets tonight. Obviously, they were playing around with their rotations as well, sitting Jamal Murray after that first Murray and Jokic, and we don't really know how it would have went. But to be honest, Jokic wasn't doing much tonight anyway. But Anthony Davis, Kyle Kuzma, and LeBron James were a huge reason why we won this game. There's a lot we have to get into tonight, and I know we already have stuff that's going in here, but I wanted to make sure that we all put respect on Kyle Kuzma's name. Here's what's so important about this for me: he did all of this and only had from here, only had 2 personal fouls and 1 turnover. That means he was aggressive on D and wasn't fouling. That means that even towards the end where he got called for a blocking foul, but he was trying to take the charge. He's making the right moves at the right time. This is what you want to see heading into the playoffs. And to be honest with you, I know this is going to sound, easier said now that we've won the game, but even if we hadn't won the game, I was so satisfied with the way they were playing tonight. What we learned is when they turn it on, and they specifically have not been turning it on, they are a different team. Now, I also want to point out something else. I want to point out something that we've been talking about all season because this is not to say that Danny Green has earned all of the respect or any of that stuff, or that he hasn't had really bad moments this season. What I want to point out is that what we've been saying, or what I've been saying all season, is you're not getting Danny Green to be a consistent Kuzma-like scorer. You're not asking him to shoot and make 7 threes a game. He's not that. He's not going to be Kyle Korver. He's not going to be anybody. Joe Harris. He's not. That's not his role. That's not his job. That's not what they got him for. What they got him for is, can you make the shots in crunch time when it matters? Can LeBron trust you when we get into the 4, 5, 6 minute mark in a tight game in the fourth quarter? Can we trust you? And this is where Danny Green shines tonight. 3 of 5 from 3-point land. And here's what's funny. He really could regress back to a mean in the next game, because if it's not clutch and it doesn't matter, he's not going to shoot well. But for whatever reason, when it comes down to crunch time, this is the second time we've seen that this season. When we need a big 3 and we need an aggressive Danny Green, he makes it. He does it. His patience is there. He knows how to pump fake, reset at the line, do what he has to do. That does not excuse the fact that he's going to miss a lot of wide open threes. He's gonna have some really weird plays. He's going to have turnovers tonight. He wasn't bad with turnovers, no personal fouls, and he played 30 minutes. He shot 4 of 10. We're seeing him go inside the middle a little bit more. But what we needed, please believe, Kyle Kuzma's 3 was possible because Danny Green got aggressive in crunch time, which forced the D to pay attention to him. That's why he was in at the end of the game. Now, of course, this rotation kind of was popped up by surprise, because generally Caruso gets these minutes in really tough, close games where the defense is needed. And he had it looks like he had a collision with Plumlee, and seems to have re-injured or restrained that neck. Ended up going back to the locker room, and prayerfully he's okay. But the Lakers did what we needed them to do tonight. Of course, this is not the regular playoff rotation you're going to see, nor is this the regular Denver Nuggets team you're going to see in the playoffs. What you saw tonight were 2 teams who had finally found some things that they want to work for them, and they were battling out against each other. One thing we can say about our bench in the first half, the bench was doing well. They were outscoring the Denver bench. And then the second half, you saw their bench come in with obviously Murray and Jokic sitting majority of the second half, and they began to score. You saw how their rotations are settling out a little bit. This is good. This is the way you want to see it going into those last couple of games. And of course, we have Sacramento as that last game, and you're probably not going to see anybody play. You'll probably see more Quinn Cook and whoever else is available at that point. But it was good to see what we saw tonight. And here's the most important part for me, knowing that Contavious Caldwell-Pope, who we generally like to shoot the 3, or who we generally like to be chasing guards around these screens and pushing through screens and going in over screens, he wasn't even playing tonight. He didn't play not one single minute tonight, and the Lakers were able to get it done. Frank Vogel has made some questionable decisions all season long, but he's also made some great decisions all season long. And I think what he has been doing over these last few games is that he accepted the fact that the Lakers could very well lose these last couple of games and even possibly lose this one. But he was very intent on finding out what he has. He played Morris more minutes again tonight. We talked about this, that you're going to see Morris's minutes go up. He had 18 minutes tonight. He shot 3 of 5, 2 of 4 from 3. And was great. I mean, his plus minus was a -4, but he was doing dirty work. You saw Dwight Howard getting more minutes. You didn't see JaVale McGee get a significant minute until the very end, the last play of the game. And so you're seeing where he's starting to settle out. Yes, JaVale McGee is going to be the starter, but yes, you're also going to see Dwight Howard and Markieff Morris splitting those minutes in the center in the 4 position if AD's not at the 5. So let's get into this chat, man. I want to hear what you guys have to say. James Michael from Periscope, good to see you, my friend. Kuz deserves this. He played in control all game. He absolutely did. On the defensive and offensive end, I cannot say this enough. His defense was incredible tonight. I need to know where Blake St. Clair. There you are. Kayla May. Kuz. Kuz. That's the name. That's the name. Blake Sinclair. We'll see if he puts up single digits next game, but it's a start. Blake, you have to at some point. You're gonna have to give my man some credit. He came into the bubble, fifth highest shooting percentage from three. That never changed. Tonight he was just as consistent and he was clutch. We've been talking about his defense. At some point, you're gonna have to just say he's decent. He's not a superstar, nor would I even say that he's worth a max contract on any team. But what he did tonight shows you exactly what we need him to do. Come on over, man. It's okay. Don't let pride keep you. Come on over. Keep on going over. James Michael, will they still play versus Sack? Rest versus rest argument again. I think they're not, because you've already seen two significant injuries. That shouldn't say significant, but two potentially significant injuries in the last three games. One with KCP in his ankle. You can't afford to lose him. Caruso with a second neck strain since we've had the restart. You can't afford to lose him. So you're probably going to see Vogel kind of taper it down a little bit and make sure that everybody's kind of in their sweet spot. He might give people a little bit of run, but you can't afford, now that you're getting stuff going, you can't afford to lose players. You can't afford another injury, especially with Rondo. He won't even be back until maybe the second round, end of second round, somewhere in there. Okay, James Michael. I'm sorry. Will they still play? Oh, I'm sorry about that. Anakat Mohan from YouTube. About time our offense clicked. I love what I see from Kuz in this bubble. Yeah, AD and LeBron were playing at 70%. They were, and they were still aggressive. They were far more aggressive tonight than they were before. I think one of the bigger things that we saw tonight was that LeBron James shot 11 threes. He was 5 of 11, which was great, which is fine. LeBron has nights where he'll have 4, 5, or 6 threes, and that's fine. But that's not something we want to rely on as a playoff strategy. I want to see him far more aggressive. Anthony Davis only getting 12 shots at the free throw line, but him missing 3. And we got to talk about this. The honest to God truth is this game would have never even required a Kyle Kuzma 3 had the Lakers been hitting their free throws. They shot 68%. We've been talking about this the entire bubble. They've always been the lower half of the free throw shooting percentage all season. But just as they've been in the bubble, they've been sub 70%. Tonight they were 68%. There's just really no excuse for shooting 22 of 32, missing 10 shots from the free throw line. This could have been a double-digit win had we just hit our free throws. And you juxtapose that with the Denver Nuggets, who shot 78%, 18 of 23. That's really what kept them in the game. Both teams shot fairly well from the floor, 56% for the Nuggets and 48% for the Lakers. I'm sorry, 54% for the Lakers and 58% for the Nuggets. And they both shot well from three. Lakers shooting almost 50% from three. That's fine. That's good. But if you're missing free throws, it keeps games closer than what's necessary. I don't know what it's going to take. That's one thing I don't see that will magically turn around. But even Anthony Davis shooting 9 of 12, missing 3 free throws is unlike him. He's our best free throw shooter. He's above 80%. I don't know if that was just because he just lost focus tonight, or if it's just the bug. It's just the free throw bug. But they have to make adjustments. And I want to point this out while we're here. We saw the return of Dion Waiters, who made a pretty significant return tonight in regards to his aggressiveness. He was getting to the cup fairly early, 27 minutes tonight, and had 12 points. He didn't really do much after those first 2 quarters. But for the most part, we saw what we needed to see from him. When it's time for Braun or AD to come out, can we trust somebody to get to the cup and do what they got to do? The biggest issue that I see that is a glaring issue outside of the free throw shooting has got to be JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee was he played 16 minutes tonight, had 4 points. He was 1 of 2. And I've really been an advocate of JaVale all season because he does a lot of grunt work and dirty work, but he just every play seems like he doesn't really understand what's happening. He doesn't seem to be rebounding well. He's not cutting well. He's fouling way too often. I want you to see this, that he had 3 personal fouls in 16 minutes. That's crazy. That's bananas. And 2 of those fouls came in the first quarter. This is the reason why JaVale really, after he starts, he really doesn't see the floor again. And it almost seems like he's a placeholder. It would be so good to be able to see a lineup of a LeBron, of an AD at the 5, of a Danny Green, a KCP, a Kuzma, kind of getting in that realm. That would really space the floor. That would keep our defense more consistent, especially with Kuz playing better. But obviously, that's not going to happen. They're going to keep the starting rotation the same. But please believe what you're seeing tonight. You're probably not going to see JaVale McGee get more than 15 minutes in the playoffs based upon the way he's been playing. Let's keep going. Al Sanchez from Periscope. I like Kuzma now. 24K Petty from Periscope, my cousin. I'm sleeping in my Kuzma jersey tonight, cousin. Feels like the team I'm used to watching. Listen, and I was getting ready to tweet something, but I didn't want anybody to take it wrong. But as you guys know, he's been dating Winnie Harlow, who is just a magnificent person from everything that I hear. But I don't know what she told this man before the bubble. But she got this guy playing out of his mind. And I hope she stays around for his entire career. If she's going to keep him playing like that, because he is motivated. Here we go. James Michael, with all the work Kuz did, he deserved this game winner tonight. And you know what's so funny about that, James Michael? Thank you for that comment. Uh, when LeBron came out of the huddle, if you guys were watching on TNT, when LeBron came out of the huddle, he was laughing. And he felt so lighthearted and free. And something told me that he was not going to be taking the last shot. In my head, it was going to be Anthony Davis. And Frank Vogel just drew up an incredible play. Honestly, I mean, with LeBron kind of or AD kind of being a decoy and then setting the screen for Kuz, who was able to hit that three, and then Kuzma with no crowd in there turns around and says game time, and that's the level of confidence you want to see. That's the level of trust you want to see. That's what's going to keep this team in a lot of these games. And let's not forget, Denver Nuggets are a legit team. Michael Porter Jr. that guy is a stud. He is the future of the Nuggets. I promise you, this man will be making max contract money, bowl as he continues to grow. So this was not one of those wins where it was like, oh, but it wasn't the Clippers, or oh, it wasn't the Bucks. No. This is the Nuggets, who really are a force in the playoff hunt. They want to get to the conference finals, if not the finals. They're hungry for it. They have a very young squad. But what we did tonight, even with the weird rotations that both coaches were doing, was a significant win just because the way the Lakers attached and crunched situations. Al Sanchez, concerned about Caruso. I am. And I'm more concerned not just because he strained his neck, but when he went back in during the free throw, you could see it in his eyes that it not only was it hurting, but you could tell he's tired of the neck strain being the issue. But what I do know is that one of the big things the front office did with the Lakers is make significant changes to the health and medical staff. If you guys remember the last 4 or 5 years, we just been having issue with injury after injury after injury. LeBron with his groin, Lonzo constantly had injuries, Kuzma constantly had injuries, even Josh Hart had injuries. We just had injuries for years and seasons, and so they made a significant change. They brought in some great people, and so I am very confident that this medical staff is going to do what's necessary for Caruso, not just to get back and ready and ready to go come playoffs, but keep him healthy going forward. I think they saw what they needed to see from him. He's aggressive. He goes after things. But when there's a lot of switching against big bodies, it tends to put a strain on his body. Caruso goes hard in the paint. And so a lot of these situations, you're probably going to see him take minutes and rotations a little bit different, or they'll probably draw up defensive schemes that will keep him from getting injury prone. That's my thought. Al Sanchez, AD still off a little, and this is why I want to bring this up. I'm glad you said that. He had 27 points tonight, 2 blocks, 3 steals, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, 9 of 12 from the free throw line. Like I said, he only shot one 3-pointer and missed it, and played 38 minutes. Now, generally, as a second star to a LeBron, somebody who has 5 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 27 points, you'd say that's really decent. But the truth is that we know AD is capable of doing far more than that. So you're right. He is a little bit off, but he was far more aggressive, even though he only had 15 shots tonight. It was good to see him getting his shots early. It seemed as though what we saw in the first 2 quarters was probably more what you're going to see in the playoffs. And there had to be a ramping down of some sort. Even drawing the last play up to Kuzma, seems much more of an experiment, keeping his confidence going, seeing what they could do with him in these crunch situations. Because honestly, the game didn't mean much at that point. The game, or I'm sorry, at this point, since we already locked at the number 1 seed. So it's good to see that. But what you saw those first 2 quarters, I think essentially is what you're going to see all playoffs. And if AD plays like he did those first 2 quarters, it's going to be lights out. He had a crucial block in that fourth quarter that he ended up falling over the player. But he was doing work tonight. And I don't know what it is about Nikola Jokic when it comes down to AD. But Jokic played 26 minutes tonight, had 12 points, 3 personal fouls, and a turnover. It's just whatever happens, whenever AD gets in the game against Jokic, he shuts that man down. All right, so let's keep going. Burke, King James. Thank you, Burke. Showtime Forum. Vogel on Kuz moving forward in the postseason, he can be huge for us. So yeah, Vogel is finding out who his workhorses are, and this is really much different for Vogel because remember Vogel when he was in Indiana and he had such a great run with the Pacers, especially against those LeBron James led teams. Defense was the staple. Paul George was the offense. Occasionally you'd have a big or somebody shooting, but for the most part, he really relied on defense and a star. This is the first time he's had a plethora of shooters like this with two main stars that are all everybody's kind of defensive minded. Now the Nuggets were having their way, especially their second unit in that second half, but a lot of that was missed rotations. You saw that plenty of times tonight. That normally would alarm you, but just knowing that this team is still figuring out, they're trying to replace Avery Bradley. Remember that. So their schemes are going to have to be different because you can't rely on full court pressure or you can't rely upon ISO guard help from Avery Bradley. So now you have to find a way to incorporate some of these fours and these threes to become active on the perimeter. You saw even towards the end of the game, they went to a 2-3 zone. The Lakers never play a 2-3 zone. Vogel is playing around with some stuff, trying to figure out what's going to work. Kuz's last shot was an experiment. It worked well. Obviously, Kuz was already in rhythm during this game, but even the defensive rotations, they're playing around with some things, fine tuning and tweaking, and I think it's gonna go well. Al Sanchez, nice to see LeBron hitting threes. It is. I don't want him shooting 11 threes. Let's just. We all have to settle this out. As great as he was shooting from three, and as good as it felt, you do not want to rely on LeBron James shooting 11 threes in a game. That's a lot of threes for somebody who dominates the paint the way he does. Blake St. Clair, YouTube. It's different playing another team who has a backcourt. Nuggets were pathetic. I don't know if they were pathetic. I don't think I would call what the Nuggets did pathetic. They had 8 players in double digits. That's not pathetic in my mind. You had 4 of your starters in double digits and 4 of your bench in double digits. And at one point, their bench was outscoring us 37-3 in the second half. Bench by themselves, they had scored all the points. So I guess in a way you could consider it not the same as what you would normally see. But the truth is that the Nuggets are a formidable team. They played well tonight. They do have some young studs. I love their roster. Everybody but Jamal Murray and Jokic, but I love the young people. I would love to have them. To be honest. If you told me that we could have some of them shooters, I wouldn't be mad at it. James Michael, I'm sorry, Pala from Periscope, Bubble Coos. That's what it is, man. That should be a shirt. James Michael, LBJ should stop that Karl Malone like free throw motion. Malone missed free throws known in NBA history. I don't know if you mean most known, James, but yeah. And LBJ has changed his shooting free throw motion, routine, technique, shoot. He's changed it all. I mean, his entire career. We have to settle into this. It's not going to get better in year 17. I'm just letting you know that he's going to do whatever he can to be as good as he can, but he's always going to struggle. It's just going to be his Achilles heel. It's quite all right. It's quite all right if that's going to be his thing. Now, to be honest with you, what I love about LBJ is that he's not afraid of driving to the basket. But tonight, it really felt like he was animate on making sure that he kept the defense honest at the perimeter. That's what it felt like the threes were tonight. Last year, when he hurt himself, it felt like it was a groin injury. He just couldn't afford to twitch towards the basket. But tonight, it felt like he was keeping that defense honest, which opened things up so that when he did drive, he was able to kick it out to a Kuzma, Danny Green, whoever. Blake St. Clair it's his second good game out of how many? Once again, Blake, what you consider good is different. You're asking for someone to come in and to shoot as well from three when the rest of your team is sucking at it. You can't dismiss it. You can't just throw it out. And to be honest with you, he was consistent the entire game, and it wasn't just shooting. I just got to keep reiterating that. If you can, just do yourself a favor. Go watch Lakers Film Room. He made plenty of tweets about some of the plays that Kuz was doing where he didn't even touch the ball. He's just understanding things better. Got a steal on an inbound pass tonight. Stuff like that. That's the things you want to see from the young kid. And so we can't poo-poo it. We can't throw it away. Okay. It's not like when Rondo has a good game from three and we go, okay, that's just a Rondo random 3-point game. No, Kuzma has been consistent with his threes. He's been consistent with his defense. And, when he gets 30-plus minutes, he does this. He's been consistent at that. Tan Marino from Twitch felt good tonight, I think. Encouraged that our young guys played well. discouraged that we struggled all fourth quarter with our starters versus their bench. Kuz is trending up for sure. Perfect time heading into the playoffs. Never seen him in the playoffs, but what if playoff key becomes a thing? Hopefully, we will see. Yeah, and this is going to be a brand new space for all of us as Laker fans. We have not been in a 4-game or 7-game series in years. We haven't been in 7-game series in almost a decade. Like, so we're gonna see how the Lakers play the same team over and over and over again in the 7-game series. That's gonna be telling for us. We've never been in that position. We don't know what that's like. We're gonna find that out. Jason Jeter, glad they got the W. Hopefully they can put a full game together come playoffs. If you're looking for any team to do, I want you to think about some of the games you've seen, and hopefully, we've all been digesting this NBA restart and just enjoying all of the games that have been on. But if you've noticed teams like the Bucks, if you've noticed teams like the Clippers, if you've noticed teams even like the Heat, teams that we know are going to be formidable in the playoffs but have struggled, teams that have had issues, teams that have lost buzzer beaters, teams that have been down by 23 at the half. These are not norms, okay? So we want to take everything with a grain of salt. I think it's going to be hard for any team to put a full game together. No team has done it. No team has done it. Even when the Bucks were down by 23, they got the game back. Okay. Even with like T.J. Warren. T.J. Warren tonight went crazy in the first half, and then Miami shut him down. He didn't score again after the first half. You're going to see a lot of that because that's what we have to get ready for is the intensity of the back and forth. As Kobe would have said, this is a game of runs, and it's about who can outlast in the runs. And so this is going to be kind of what you're going to see. You're going to see where we gain some leads and we're going to lose them. Teams are going to fight to stay in that bubble. Teams are going to fight to stay in the playoffs, and teams are going to fight to be honest with you, for the finals. That's what they want. They want to get to the NBA finals. And so you're going to see teams play differently. They're not just going to lay down and say, oh, we got next game. You're not going to see that. You're going to see teams that are down fight back. You're going to see the Lakers who may be down and they're just every time they seem to be catching up, the other team seems to be making threes. You're going to see them fight to the end like they did tonight. Anakat Mohan, I was all for trading Kuz, but now he's making us change our minds with this bubble play. Maybe this kind of environment suits him more. It probably does. It eliminates distractions. He can't do his normal Kuz routines. That may be a part of it. And another part of it is he may just finally be coming into his own. That the honest to God truth is he may just have finally popped. And we don't know. We don't know if what this is going to look like come playoffs, and teams can scheme for him better. But this is the way. This is what we're seeing with him in the bubble, and this far into the bubble with the playoffs only a couple of games away. You can't throw it out. You can't throw it away and just be like, oh, he just hit a weird streak. This is not Linsanity, okay? This is Kuz, just to be honest, who the players and the coaches have been saying this is what they've been seeing in practice since the scrimmages and coming back and being able to come back to the facility. This is what got them excited about Kuz, and he's been showing, unlike the beginning of the season, but he's been showing that he's been consistent at it. Blake St. Clair, 60 games this season. Fantastic. Al Sanchez, do you think Morris needs way more minutes? No, I think Morris playing the right amount of minutes. I think it's about matchups for him. Once again, he has not played with the Lakers all season, so he's still, really figuring out defensive rotations, and you don't figure that out in 5 or 6 or even 10 games. That's going to take some time. He might know for sure what his rotations are because he missed a few tonight, but he's probably going to find his rhythm probably come conference finals. So you probably will see him around 18 to 20 minutes, depending on how foul trouble goes and how rotations go. But he did earn significant minutes. And once again, we know that the rotations tighten up come the playoffs. You tend to go down to a 9-man rotation. You're probably not going to see THT in the playoff rotation. He's just not ready. He's earned the right to be looked at. But when you see things like the way Morris played tonight, shooting 2 of 4 from 3 and hitting those threes when you need him to hit those threes, and Tyler can hit those threes too. But he hasn't learned how to not foul. He fouled a guy on a 3-point play, and it ended up being a 4-point play. Just small rookie things that honestly, it's just the moment. It's just the moment. And luckily, what I love is that he's being surrounded by veterans. Man, this is a very veteran-heavy team. So people like Rondo, Howard, JaVale, Braun. These are guys, Danny Green. These are guys who can really help him get ready. But you probably won't see THT. But Morris will probably be sitting around, in my opinion, 18 to 20 minutes. You may see a couple games here or there where he gets above that, but not much. James Michael, LBJ knee bend is like Carl Malone. Yeah, if you've never watched, just go back and do yourself a favor. Watch these Carl Malone free throws. James Michael, you're exactly right. Brad Main, good to see you, my friend in Periscope. Danny Green starting his transition into playoff Danny Green. I agree, and I'm gonna keep saying the same sentiment. You're gonna see him around 10, maybe 12 points, sometimes 7, 8 points. What you're looking for is for him to hit crucial threes when it matters. And that's why he's in at the end of games, because LeBron trusts him. You have to remember, in a LeBron system, what it's about is who does he trust? When LeBron trusts you, that's going to mean more in the coach's eyes than probably anything else. But if you're not hit, that's probably one of the reasons why JaVale doesn't get in at the end, because LeBron can't trust him. Just think about how many times LeBron has called for JaVale to do a pick and roll. He doesn't call for that because it's just not working. It's just not something's not working there. So I'm glad to know that Danny Green can do what we need him to do when it counts. Um, Gary from Periscope, what do you want the starting lineup to be when playoffs start? That's a really good question. As of right now, and once again, these starting rotations are not true to form. But Anthony Davis, Kyle Kuzma, LeBron James, JaVale McGee, Danny Green. That's what it was tonight. I'm actually not against it. I'm not against that starting lineup. That doesn't scare me. I think KCP is probably going to start over Kyle Kuzma, but that doesn't make me upset either. I like it either way. I probably would keep Kuzma with the second unit, not because he doesn't deserve starter minutes, but I think it's good to let him cook come the second and fourth quarters right in there, and let him get a bulk of those minutes. His body is obviously ready for it. He's fresh. He's good to go. He seems fully healthy. I just want him to be able to find his rhythm. And once he gets in that rhythm, let him go. But if he stays in the starting lineup, I'm not mad at that. I'm really not mad at that. But I don't want to see Dwight Howard in the starting lineup. I think he works better against second unit. He bullies the bench of the other players. He just rebounds better than them. Although tonight he only had 5 rebounds, but 3 of those were offensive, and that's what I want to see is him being able to get those offensive rebounds. JaVale McGee had 2 offensive rebounds tonight, but those were mainly because of how bad the misses were. And let's keep going here. Jason Jeter, do you think chemistry is off from the regular season? I think it's bound to be, Jason, to be honest. Thank you for that question. I think it has to be. And the reason why is because they had built such a strong chemistry with the team that they had. And we'll just kind of walk us back through some of the things that happened there. Even before we saw Avery Bradley opt out of the restart. But we did say goodbye to Troy Daniels, who was actually on the other team tonight. Saw no action, which is telling. But Troy Daniels had developed a rapport. They had really built a lot of time with the chemistry, and then once they started adding in new pieces, it takes time. So, for instance, a J.R. Smith who does know Bron but doesn't know the rest of the team. He has to get acclimated. I think Dion Waiters is fully acclimated. I saw some great conversation from out of these timeouts going into timeouts. It looked like he's active, he's listening, he's vocal in the huddle. So he seems to be finding his chemistry stroke in there as well. Markieff Morris was giving some instruction tonight, which was great to see him do that. And he was talking to Bron, talking about defensive rotations and things that were missed. So I'm starting to see the chemistry come together, but it's not going to gel as quickly because the Lakers this season, they started early, man, even from the private workout in Vegas with the players. That LeBron was very intentional about that group getting to know each other early, and you've introduced a lot of different pieces. If you think about it, Dion Waiters, J.R. Smith, Markieff Morris, and you have no Bradley. Rondo's been in and out, so he has to come back and get acclimated. He hasn't played with Morris. He hasn't played with Waiters like that. He hasn't played with Waiters at all. Outside of probably whatever practices they had before scrimmage. So there's a lot of chemistry things that are going to happen. What I trust, to be honest, this is why I trust our chemistry over the Clippers chemistry, is because they genuinely care about the chemistry. It doesn't even feel like they're trying to have chemistry for a championship. It legitimately feels like they're trying to have chemistry because they want to be family. And that makes a difference. It makes a difference in how many minutes you get. It makes a difference in how patient you are if you don't play. Quinn Cook is the first one off the bench. He had a great game the other night, and he had no game tonight. I don't think he played at all tonight, if I'm not mistaken. He was a do not a coach's decision, DNB. So like, and still active and still with no crowd, still jumping up off the bench. That level of chemistry is fantastic. Okay. I think that, even though it's not as cohesive as it would have been during the regular season, I think that's great. And this is what I love. And I want you guys to pay attention. Something stuck out to me when I saw Damian Lillard miss those 2 free throws, and then they showed the cutaway. You guys have all seen the video. Patrick Beverly, and then they just go, they're laughing and falling over on the side. That's not chemistry. When you have to be united over stuff like that, that's not chemistry. You probably will never see the Lakers do that. They may clap because they're still in the game, but you'll never see them do something classless like that. That's not chemistry. That's forced emotion to try to emote something. That's the difference. Nothing that what the Lakers feels forced emotionally. Wayne, listen, if Kuz is aggressive, just be aggressive. He had 6 boards, 2 steals. They'll be just fine. Wayne, I appreciate that. Anakat Mohan from YouTube. Free throws are a concern for me. Imagine missing 10 free throws in a playoff game 7. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you who wouldn't take it. Let me tell you who wouldn't stand for it. Let me tell you who would have all them boys in the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. Let me tell you who would be. Kobe Bryant wouldn't go for that. There's just no way. You're not going to shoot sub 70% from from free throw line, and think it's okay. Now, that's not to say that LeBron's leadership is lacking or any of that stuff, because it's hard. One thing Kobe could force everybody to do is get better at free throw shooting because he's a great free throw shooter. LeBron, not so much. So it's kind of hard to hold a standard. That's hard for you to hold up to. But Anthony Davis can. Anthony Davis can hold that team accountable. And for whatever reason, I can't imagine why they're missing so many free throws the way they are in this bubble. But they got to get that together. James Michael, we got away with missed free throws. Think Denver missed those in the fourth. Yeah, that missed free throw by I can't remember who that was. I can't remember who it was. I think Dozier. It might have been Dozier. That was crucial to us being able to do what we had to do tonight. Blake Sinclair, my problem has never been Kuzma's offense. My problem is defense and lack of contribution unless he does score and plays big minutes. He's a role player who needs to be treated like a starter. Listen, whatever we got to do to get the production out of him, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. If playing you plus 30 minutes gives us that production, then take plus 30 minutes. I'm fine with it. I don't even see what the argument would be if he's going to produce like that, and he has shown that every time he gets above 30 minutes. Anakai Mohan, JaVale should stick to vlogging. And I don't want to ream on my guy, man, because to be honest with you, he's had great moments this season that gave us just a glimpse of what he's capable of, but something is off. And it ain't got nothing to do with vlogging, to be honest with you. There's something that is off. And it may come down to taking away his minutes or even switching him out of that starting lineup. But JaVale has to figure it out, man. He has to figure that out. He's too valuable as a big. He's too capable of doing more than what he's doing. And just missing the way he was missing tonight, man. 1 of 2 from the field. Just 3 personal fouls and a turnover with only 4 points. It just didn't make sense to even keep him on the floor. THT could have done better than that, if we're being honest, right? So we got to figure out what's going on with JaVale. Al Sanchez, don't you think the Lakers D was weak tonight, giving up so many layups? I think it was weak because they were trying different defensive schemes. I'll say it again. We never play 2-3 zone. The Denver Nuggets were doing it against us tonight, and it was giving us fits from the 3-point line. But we never play 2-3. And there were moments tonight we were playing 2-3 zone. Plenty of moments tonight where they had people in who don't know defensive rotations. He had Morris and Waiters in at the same time at a particular point. And literally 3 plays, almost back-to-back, blown rotations because they don't know the defensive sets yet. If it was KCP in there, that's not happening, right? KCP didn't play tonight. So I'm not worried about tonight. I think they had to experiment and see who could do what. I think everything is an evaluation, strengths and weaknesses. What spots can I put you in? The reason why Caruso can get minutes ahead of Waiters in certain situations, like especially in crunch time, Waiters has a tremendous shot and can get to the cup. But when Vogel needs a stop, he's not going to be on Waiters. That's one of his weaknesses is defense. One of Caruso's weaknesses is scoring. So you're probably not going to see Caruso win there when we're getting on a run. That's probably not going to be his thing. Defense is always going to be Caruso's thing. So just finding strengths and weaknesses and Vogel learning it in real-time situations. Practice is not a great evaluation. It's a starting point. But the true evaluation is crunch time, TV minutes. The other team is throwing stuff at you ain't ever seen. How do you respond to that? I think Vogel tonight was doing a lot more of that. And you're going to see, I'm telling you, that Sacramento game, you're going to see experiment. It's going to be Area 51 off that bench. Here we go. Blake Sinclair, Caruso needs to lift energy and output. I think he's not fully healthy. After that first neck strain, I think this is just a re-injury of that. I can tell just by the way he cuts to the basket. He's not doing it as quickly as he did before. And to be honest, he's struggling to get around picks. And just from having a previous neck injury that was very similar, just to be honest with you, when your neck is strained, doing things like cuts or dipping, it puts it that lateral movement hurts. And if he's not fully healthy, he's probably fighting through the pain. And he just needs to get fully healthy. To be honest with you, I wouldn't mind sitting Caruso until playoffs, just to make sure he's fully healthy because he's such a great guard defender. Him and Avery Bradley together were such a dynamic duo, and especially when Bradley would start and then Caruso would come in with the second unit, it was nonstop ball pressure, and most teams were having a problem with that. But when he's not fully healthy and you're already down Bradley, let's figure out a way to get him going. Anakai Mohan, Frank Vogel said he used the same out of bounds play when he was with the Pacers. That sounds about right. That sounds about right, man. Get the open shot for whoever can shoot that shot. Frank Diesler, I'm so sorry about that. Periscope. People still watch NBA. I don't even know what live stream you think you're tuned into. Blake Sinclair, Nuggets' biggest advantage, the altitude is gone. They won't do much. That altitude is that's real talk. Blake, you talking truth. That altitude, and I don't know if anybody's ever been to Denver. I have family in Denver. I hate going to Denver. I don't have breathing issues primarily, but going to Denver, I'm telling you, man, for a fat guy like me who ain't in shape, you ask me to go like walk to the driveway, I'd be like, dog, no, man, like I'm good. Breathing treatment, please, coach, take me out. So that has been an advantage for them. As much like Staples Center is an advantage for us. Dwayne Wade talked about it on NBA on TNT. He talked about how different it is to walk into Staples Center than any other arena. Stars everywhere, and he says a lot of players can't play clutch in those situations with all of those eyes on them. It rattles them. Well, we're not at Staples, so that gives the advantage to the other team. Same for Denver. Denver don't have the altitude. And so now they don't have the advantage of being able to outrun us and outpace us while we're gasping for air. The truth is that we could hang with them tonight, and we were able to get the W. Nashawn Nazir Freeland from Periscope. Coos. Second one tonight. I'm with you, man. I'll say that all night. James Michael, if they sit versus Sac, that would be almost a week rest. Great time for practice sessions too. Yeah, and I think right around that time, if he's not already, I'm not sure if Rondo is back with the team in the bubble yet, but he'll definitely be back by then. And film sessions with Rondo. You can look at any of those post game reports during the season. Film sessions with Rondo are completely different than doing it with any other coach. He sees things from a player perspective that I think is really going to help give some insight to some of these guys, especially at Dion Waiters, as to what to do. Not just because there's moments where Dion Waiters can get to the cup, and there's times where it looks impossible for him to get there, and he gets there. There's also other times where it seems like you should be passing that ball, and he doesn't. So I think there's going to be some moments where in those film sessions and practice sessions they can address that. Al Sanchez, why not play Morris at the 5 instead of McGee? I think because Morris is still figuring out things, and I don't think Morris is able to contribute as well as at the 5 with AD at the 4. It's a weird mix, especially with AD being so much more dominant at the 5. For instance, tonight you have a Jokic and a Plumlee. You do need some size and length. It's easier for JaVale McGee with his length. Plumlee is not, obviously, he's not like a 6th man of the year or any of that stuff. He only had 11 points in 25 minutes tonight. But he can still, if you're not careful, his length can get to you. And I think Morris is really much more for bully ball, kind of jumping in there, being able to cover the perimeter as well as the inside. And you kind of need him in a sweeping 4 format for that. But it is a possibility. You're probably going to see that during the playoffs at some point. Just not out of the starting lineup. Anakat Mohan, AD showed his cards in the first half, then Load managed in the game. And we can't be mad at that because, the Nuggets did it with Jokic and they did it with Murray, although their card showing looked like they folded. But for the most part, a lot of these teams are not going to be doing that. You've seen, for instance, you've seen the Bucks sit Giannis for a while. He had oral surgery, so that's obviously why he was sitting down. But you're going to see a lot of teams in these next couple games, except for the ones who are fighting for seeding position, fighting for stuff. Portland's probably not going to sit anybody. Obviously, the Grizzlies can't afford to sit anybody. They're already injury prone as it is. So at this point, whatever the rotations are, you can't take it as being the final. Showtime Forum, Jay Watson, first time tweeter, long time listener. Does AD have Dog, because the FS1 guys are bringing it up. They're always going to bring it up. Fox Sports is always going to bring up AD and the dog factor and the whole nine. And the idea is this: there's no other team that had an MVP and a Defensive Player of the Year both in their starting lineup finalists, and we did. And so, dog or not, he Anthony Davis is a tremendous defender. Anthony Davis can put up 50 or 40, regardless if you feel like he has a dog or not. That's right now. That's not my concern. My concern is not the dog factor. My concern is, can you do like what you did tonight? Can you play defense the way you do? And he's been great. You don't get to become a finalist and Defensive Player of the Year by being inconsistent defensively. So regardless of how they feel about him being a dog, the boy can defend. No, I'll leave it at that. Blake St. Clair, Lakers had no guards performing. Nuggets should have destroyed them if they had an even average backcourt. And remember, the Lakers don't move in a traditional guard set. So LeBron James covers the point. With LeBron James covering the point, you don't have a traditional set. So your number one scoring guard outside of really a Kuzma, who's not really a guard, your number one scoring guard is going to be KCP, who didn't play tonight, right? Danny Green is not your scoring option. He does that in clutch moments. I mean, Dion Waiters is kind of guard play, but for the most part, we don't play like that. We play with length and size, which is why we dominate. Remember, the number one field goal percentage with like one of the lower half of the 3-point percentage, because we play inside out and we just dominate in the paint. We've always been about size. When it was time to pick up somebody, we picked up Dwight Howard. when Boogie got hurt, we went and got more size. So it's JaVale, it's AD, it's Howard, it's LeBron. These are all guys who do a tremendous amount of damage in the paint. And so, as far as guard play, you can't compare the two because we don't play the same. We just don't. Which is one of the reasons why the Lakers are such a weird matchup for a lot of teams, is because no matter how many bigs you have out there, you don't have enough to match up. If you have a big that's going to cover AD, you don't have anybody in the guard position who can guard LeBron. You just don't. He can keep you on the perimeter and shoot a three. He can drive, draw the foul, and get an and one. And he's a passer, so that makes it even worse. And if Kuzma's hitting his threes the way he's been hitting them, it just leaves your defense in a weird space, especially in clutch moments. So, their guards were doing some work tonight. They, like I said, their bench outscored us in the second half at one point, 32-3. That's you just don't get that, and it wasn't their big scoring. Plumlee only had 11 points, and Jokic didn't even really play. So we can't keep dismissing it. LeBron and Green were shooting threes pretty well. It wasn't just Kuzma. Blake, I don't know what I got to do about you and Kuzma. I don't know what I have to do. I don't know. He has the highest shooting. He has the highest 3-point percentage 3-point percentage on the team since the bubble. I don't know what else you want me to do. I don't know if you want them to win the championship and him score 60 points. I don't know. I'm not saying LeBron and Green weren't shooting threes. I said Green was clutch with the threes that he had. Important. LeBron shot 5 of 11 from threes. Important. LeBron doesn't need to shoot 11 threes, just like I don't think anybody on the team needs to shoot 11 threes unless you're Peja Stojakovic. And at this point, the Lakers got their mojo back from the 3-point line, but for the most part, Kuz just said, I think Jesus could be in front of me and I'll shoot. I'll still shoot it. Listen, I love the confidence from the brother, man. I think Jesus would pick him up one-on-one. I don't know how that would go, but Laker Metropolis, Greg Bergman is the biggest Kuz hater. I don't know. I don't know how Greg feels, man. I got to talk to my man offline one day and find out. James Michael, ESPN said this was the first game we had 3 20-point scores since game when Kobe tore his Achilles. Rest him. Man, even thinking about that, man, I keep wondering to myself, how would Kobe have handled the bubble? I keep thinking about that in my head, man. James Michael, Kuz's mom should be a permanent virtual fan in the stands now. I'm trying to figure out how we can be a virtual fan. I want to know what we got to do to get in those seats, because some of these, there was one guy, I don't know if you guys saw it, go back and watch the replay. One guy was asleep, and I don't know any Laker fans that fall asleep watching Laker games, especially a game like tonight. Blake St. Clair, I've been going easy on Kuzma in my mind. I'm just not stroking his ego, calling him a star and starter when he's just a role player, not a very versatile one at that. No one ever called him a star. I said that in the very beginning. He's not a superstar. Didn't say that. Didn't say he was a star. Didn't say that. Didn't say he wasn't a role player. All I said was, you got to give him his props for him doing what we asked him to do, unless you're asking him to do something else. So, Blake, I want you to tell me statistically what you need to see from Kuz for you to say, I like him. Anakat Mohan, where's Chaez? Chaez is with his sister tonight. He tried to jump on real quick, but they had really bad internet where he's at. But his sister's birthday was tonight, and he was trying to jump in, but he couldn't make it. Ben Dover from Periscope, and people were saying trade him. There's a trend with us, and I'm not against it. I wanted to say this. What I'm getting ready to say is not to condemn any of us as Laker fans. Apparently, it's necessary. KCP was playing like trash. We were like, man, you got to get that thing together. He figured it out, had a great stretch with us. Avery Bradley was having moments. We said, man, he got to get that together. Got it together. Now we miss him. Kuz, trade the man. Now we look at him and we go, hey, that dude is, he's looking nice. He ain't a superstar, Blake, but he is necessary. Showtime Forum. Shout out Chris Brown for supporting Can't Beat LA. Hey, shout out to that. I didn't know that happened. And in case you guys did miss it, NBA TNT, your boy was on Twitter. They showed one of my tweets. It's no big thing. I'm just trying to get myself together. You can follow me. As a matter of fact, let me just go ahead and throw my credentials up in case you guys don't follow me. Never mind. Let me not do that. Let's see. What else? Did you check out Dame Lillard going off? Oh, hold on. Let me come back to that real quick. So I want to address that. Tam Marino 13. We have a pretty decent sample size with Kuz as a starter. He is clearly much more effective when he does. Seems to be in a different headspace. If we're expanding minutes for starters and trimming the rotation to 8 or 9, would it be beneficial for us to just start Kuz? I don't know. I'm sure they're evaluating it. I don't think he's going to start over KCP. I think a lot of Kuz's minutes tonight came as a result of KCP not playing. But I don't know. I mean, he's making a strong case for himself, and I can't be mad at it, I cannot be mad at it. So, did you check out Dame Lillard going off on Twitter on Skip? I did. And to be honest, I think what I was going to say, just going back to the Clipper thing and the Skip thing, this idea of you got to remember these players are all in the bubble, okay? So they're not all in close proximity because obviously they're in different hotels and stuff like that, but they're all in the general vicinity. So running into each other is a real thing, fishing and the whole nine. Okay, this is the most they're going to see each other probably ever in their NBA careers during a season or a playoff. Okay, normally in the playoffs you ain't nowhere near the other team. Okay, but right now what you're seeing is everybody's in the same spot. You gotta believe that this is turning into what I consider like high school. And watching what the Clippers did to the Portland Trailblazers, Cancun on 3, you getting sent home, laughing when Dame missed those shots. That's what causes teams like Portland or like Dame to go off in the next game. And this is the kind of stuff you're going to see during the playoffs is when they start talking crazy to each other on and off the court, that's going to make a difference. Going over to Skip, just the media and I think Dame kind of explained something that I think we all felt. The media says certain things, and then Dame put their business in the street and basically was like, whatever you say on TV, you're talking to me differently. And that lets you know that whatever these pundits are saying is because they want ratings, period. This is no other way to put it. God bless their careers. I love watching Skip and Shannon as mad as they make me, but they're doing it because they want people to watch, period. And so Dame has apparently called him out, and Skip has tweeted that he's going to address it on First Take, or what, not First Take, whatever it is tomorrow. Jason Jenkins, free throws have been an issue all season. That's my brother from another mother. They have, and not. That's the way it's going to be. We have. All I'm asking is be above 70%. I'm not asking you to shoot 80 or 90. If you do, man, I'm gonna praise the Lord. But sub 70, like that's on you. That's on you because this game could have easily been over. But within the last 2 minutes, had we just hit our free throws. New wins order. All right, it's time to get my pitchfork out. This man JaVale is useless. I'm tired, brother. You and me both. I don't know what it is, man. And I'm a softie at heart. Once again, if you don't know my rule as a Laker fan, you put that jersey on, you're family to me. I hold you accountable. I will talk about you crazy, but I will still love you because you have that jersey on. The minute you take that jersey off, unless you're like a Pau Gasol or like a Lamar Odom or something, when you take that jersey off, then you no longer family to me. You put on a Bucks jersey or a Nuggets jersey, I look at you crazy, Troy Daniels. As far as I'm concerned, you never existed. So when I look at JaVale and I'm like, man, he's been rocking that Laker jersey for a minute. And, you hate to see it, but I don't see what his value looks like in the playoffs yet. And I'm praying it all turns around. But if there was ever a night to turn it around, tonight would have been that night with soft Jokic and pretty Plumlee. Man, you could have had your way tonight. But obviously did not do that. Jason Jenkins, it would hurt us to start Dwight. I believe so too. I think Dwight's better off the bench. Leonard Buchanan, why no JR? I think JR is going to see very little minutes in the playoffs. Very little minutes in the playoffs. I don't know what the reason was tonight. I know had nothing to do with injury. And in this situation, he has the option of do not playing. But I think from everything that I've seen from JR, he's struggling with his shot. He had like one great game, or good game, but he's struggling not only with his shot but his defensive rotation. And once again, you're talking about a guy. This guy has been out of the league longer than anybody, and so him coming back was obviously an experiment. And you're hoping he can get hot. But I promise you, Vogel is seeing something in practice that is making him say he's nowhere near ready to get significant minutes. He'll probably get great minutes against Sacramento, and that probably still won't matter in the playoffs because it's Sacramento. Caruso had 0 points but plus 21. Yeah, I don't count my hand. Blake Sinclair, I think you're getting carried away with what Kuzma did tonight. Oh God, big minutes. He doesn't contribute like this consistently, if ever. But Blake, are you seeing a trend now that every time we talk, you're saying the same thing? Like he's not consistent, but we consistently keep having this conversation because you keep saying, well, it's just this game, or it's just this game, or it's just like now we're starting to get to the territory of how many more. And I'm not blowing up, but the boy had himself a game. I don't know what else you need from the kid. 25 points, 11 of 16 shooting. He was efficient. 6 rebounds, 2 steals. He only had 1 turnover. I don't know what else you need from the man. I really don't. At this point, it just feels like you have determined in your mind that Kuz just ain't gonna do it for you, and that's fine. I'm just saying, for me, 25 points, him hitting the game-winning 3. I I don't think I'm taking anything out of proportion. I think he did exactly what most of us are excited about. Winston Mobile app. We need Kuz to play this in the playoffs. Great shot tonight. Good for his confidence. It is. It is. And once again, we have to really figure out what it looks like with KCP because he has to split those minutes with KCP. Regardless of who starts, these minutes are going to have to be split. In a perfect world, you take away JaVale's minutes and you split those minutes between JaVale, Dwight, and Morris, and you let AD run the 5 in a perfect world. But I want to see how his confidence goes, when he's not getting 30 plus minutes. And who knows? Maybe KCP is like, man, you carry it the rest of the way, and I'll take the back seat. We don't know. Just to take a cardboard cutout of Jack Nicholson to each game. That would be fantastic, man. I miss Jack. Blake, good comment. Leonard Buchanan, hope this gets Danny Green going. Guys, let me just prepare your brain now. You're not going to see Danny Green shoot that aggressive next game. You're probably not even going to see him make a 3 next game. I know that sounds crazy and inconsistent, but I've been saying this. Check my record. Just go back, check the tape. I've been saying it all year long. He's not a consistent 3-point shooter. He's a clutch 3-point shooter. And sometimes there is a difference. A lot of times there's not, but sometimes there is a difference. There are Kyle Korvers. There are Reggie Millers. There are Harris's. There are certain guys. There's Steph Curry's, Klay Thompson's, pure shooters, knock down the whole 9. Danny Green is not a pure shooter. He's a clutch shooter, and whatever is in his head that makes him turn on the focus when it matters is what he's been known for. He's done it. Done it with the Spurs. Did it with some with the Raptors. He's done it with us this season. I'm just not expecting much more out of him except when we need him to do it. I trust him. Who do you want to see first round? Anybody. I'm gonna be honest. I know everybody else is like, oh, we don't want to see the Blazers. Bring the Blazers, because I think people forgot what AD did to the Blazers last year in the playoffs, or I don't, or the other year when him and Rondo knocked them out. Not last year before last. I think people forget that, like, as much as great as they are, they go as high as Dame takes them. And I just, the last time we lost a game against the Blazers when they came to the Lakers, to the Staples Center, I never expected the Lakers to win any game. I don't care who they were playing that game. We were way too emotional. And so I think now, I think they're ready. I would love to see it. I think that would be the most entertaining. I think the Grizzlies would get swept. I think really anybody else, to be honest, wouldn't stand a chance. I think the Blazers would probably go 5 or 6 games. Blake Sinclair, Nuggets should have destroyed the Lakers guards on the offensive end, is what I was saying. Nuggets play like an average backcourt. Yeah. Uncle Moham, teams would clog the paint against the Lakers to stop LeBron and AD from driving. Need our shooters to be very consistent here on in. Or, let me just throw this out here. clog the paint, be aggressive in the paint anyway, get fouled, and here it is. Here's the key. Here it is. This is the game. This is how we win the championship. Make your free throws. I I can't say it would have been a 3-game winning streak had we just hit your free throws. You get the other team in foul trouble, then they're afraid to foul because it's going to be an automatic 2 points. If you just hit your free throws, but for whatever reason, can't do it. Winston Mobile Apps, Kuz is our key in the playoffs. I want to say AD is our key in the playoffs because I think Kuz is very crucial. You're talking about the main key, though? I think it's Anthony Davis. Laker Metropolis, we got the Laker sign guy on the virtual stands. Excellent. Winston Mobile Apps, yes, I want to get a seat in the bubble, and I will not be asleep. Man, I'm right along with you. Blake Sinclair, I'm saying this is what he needs to do, but he doesn't do it consistently like the media or some fans call him the third star. He is a streaky shooter and an inconsistent contributor on defense. Okay. Agree to disagree. I'll say Bubble Coos is different. Tamarino 13, if you could add one role player from past Lakers teams to the squad right now, who would it be and why? Golly, one role player. I want to know what some of y'all think as we get ready to end the stream. I want to know what some of y'all think. I think for me, role player, God, man, that's hard. My mind goes to a Lamar Odom, a Robert Ory. I think a deep fish. I know it sounds crazy. I think a deep fish would be great. That's where my brain starts going to some of these guys who hit clutch shots, who know big moments. Or like Lamar, who just has the length and played so well with Kobe, man. I wouldn't call Powell a role player, obviously. I think he's going to get his jersey retired with us, but it's hard to say, man. When you look at all of these Laker teams, and I'm just going back from the era that I grew up in, obviously Kobe has kind of been my era. 20 years of my life was him. It's just really hard, man. I think the first one that sticks out in my mind though is Lamar, and I don't know. I miss him. I'll tell you who I would. Let me take it back. In this current setup, switch out JaVale McGee with Andrew Bynum. That's what I'll say. Switch out McGee with Bynum, and then I'm happy. I'm talking about prime Bynum, and not push JJ Barea into the stands Bynum. I'm talking about the Bynum that we all fell in love with. You give me that with an 80 at the because Bynum was never a star, but boy, when that boy got it going, man. Snacks HC, yo, with some mobile apps, they have Kuz shots early in the game to get his confidence going. Yeah, that's so true. Blake Sinclair, I'm not a homer. I'm going to say what I say about any player on any team. If they talk themselves up as much as Kuzma does, they better back it up as much. Blake, I appreciate that because I'm going to be honest. You have been very true. You give props where you give props, and you dislike when you dislike. And I will say that. You have never wavered, and I appreciate that. Anka Mohan, unfortunately, the JR experiment has failed. I wouldn't say that yet. It's too early. The man hasn't played basketball. Nobody has been out of the league longer than him. And they knew coming in he wasn't going to come in and catch fire. So and the alternatives weren't great. Blake Sinclair, JR is way out of shape. Yeah, man, he's not ready. He's just not ready yet. The game is a little too fast for JR now. Yeah, no game fitness. That's true. Boy, your bubble cheese shirts from buy your bubble cheese shirts from Can't Beat LA if you guys can. Check out at Can't Beat LA on Twitter. They have some tremendous. Our boy Adele has made some incredible shirts for Dion Waiters, and he has some other gear there too. That's incredible. James Michael McGee plays crazy throughout his career. It's a double-edged sword. Yeah, and Shaq was clowning him tonight. Dad bod season. Absolutely, it's dad bod season. Blake Sinclair, he did have a game. Let's see what he does. Let's see what the next one is like. Let's hope so. Positive vibes. Danny will come through in the playoffs. I'm a firm believer. Laker Metropolis, JJ Redick. Yeah, now he's just a pure shooter. Since Duke, he's just a pure shooter. Danny Green is like Big Shot Bob. Money. Yeah, I wouldn't put him. He's not quite there. I think he has to have more moments, but he has that. If you were to equate him to something at the end of his career, I would point him more towards that. Are we saying that DG is like Shaq on free throws? Shaq makes free throws on clutch. Shaq says so. I don't know. Shaq and free throws I don't know if I put anybody in that category. No Kobe, Powell, Shaq, etc. Tamarino 13. Yeah. Tonight, Denver sent 3 guys at AD. Watch that trend. Yes, and is giving him fits. But I think once people like Kuzma, who can pump fake or make the 3 off the 3-point line, get pressure in the paint, Dion Waiters get pressure in the paint, it makes a difference, and it gives them the ability to throw out of the triple, double, or triple team. I got to hurry up. Tam Marino, Meta. I thought about Meta. I don't think I would. I think Meta was a. I think Meta and LeBron wouldn't mix as well as a Meta and a Kobe. Kobe kept Meta in a space that I think made him beneficial. I don't know if Brown would be able to do that with Meta. Blake Sinclair, Michael Thompson. Hey, that right there, I changed my pick. Michael Thompson. Man, I wish I could see some film on. Just go YouTube that dude. He's funny. I love Mike, but he was a force. Now, if we go way back, I take Coop because of shooting, but I do like Odom. Okay, James Michael take Coop. Blake Sinclair, a big who can shoot free throws and defend. That's all we need. Just give me somebody who can shoot free throws and defend the paint. Just give me that. Just give me that. Jason Jenkins, I agree with Bynum. Back to the basket. Thank you, Jay. Blake Sinclair, according to Michael, anyway. LA Sports Pod, LeBron, 80, and Kuz combining for 81. Yeah, and once again, grain of salt. Nobody was playing their real rotations tonight, and it was great. I just love seeing his aggressiveness and the ease and the smoothness that he did it. It just didn't seem like he was second-guessing himself. Restream. Oh, never mind. Big Mac, Portland might beat Lakers first round if they get 8 seed. I just don't see it. Little shot Danny for now. Absolutely. How good would he be against Kawhi, PG, and Giannis? I don't know. It's really hard to get a read on the Clippers right now. I don't know what to make of him. Montrez is back. He tweeted that earlier. I don't know what to make of him. I don't know what it's going to look like with him back. They're obviously going to be a different team. They've lost some close games, and no team has looked like they've been in playoff form. The Bucks look great even without Giannis and stuff like that. This is the first time all season where I felt like the playoffs were going to be more entertaining than the finals themselves. All throughout the season, I was like, man, I just can't wait till the finals. But right now, the way teams are playing, I mean, look at how Phoenix is playing. And I think they're just a long shot to get it anyway. But I'm just saying, just like the way these teams are playing right now, Portland Trailblazers are playing out of their mind. Memphis Grizzlies, I think, are actually turning into who they really were. I think their momentum is just gone from the end of the season before the shutdown. But these teams are playing great. The playoffs are going to be amazing, and they're going to be entertaining. If we play the Grizzlies, that'll probably be the one round that ain't going to be great. That's probably going to be the one round where we're like, yeah, we're going to watch that as a warm-up. All right, so let's just do our normal thing, guys. Let's go and look at what we have left. There's not a lot left, guys. And be sure to check out Showtime Forum to find out more about the updates coming up. Of course, we're going to keep you up to date with whatever we hear, not only about Caruso, but of course about what Frank Vogel thinks. They're doing post game right now, so we're probably getting quotes up as we speak. But we only have one game left, and that's against Sacramento Kings, and that's Thursday. And that's a 10:30 a.m. game. It just feels like they had to have that game in there. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't anticipate anything important. But guys, for the first time in forever, I got to say it. Let me take down the screen. For the first time in forever, we are going to the playoffs. Number 1 seed, we will be in the playoffs. It's been a long time as Laker fans for us to be able to say that and feel good about it. We didn't eke our way in. I remember that one year we barely got into the playoffs. Y'all remember that? We barely got in. Like it's not that. Like we made a statement in the season. We obviously have to refresh, rebrand, get ourselves together. But at the end of the day, we're in. Not only are we in, but we have the possibility of winning a championship, and I'm a full believer. One thing I want to point out that they talked about tonight that Frank Vogel said that I think is very important, I didn't think about until they said it, is that generally in the regular season, you have an idea who your 8 seed is going to be. But this play-in tournament makes it nearly impossible for the number 1 seed to know who to prepare for. And so essentially you have to prepare for multiple scenarios. And that's going to be a disadvantage for the Lakers in the sense that you don't get the preparation time that other playoff teams are going to get. Even though there's still seeding going on, there's no play-in tournament. And that's the biggest issue, is that you have to wait until the play-in tournament is finished, essentially to know who you're going to play. And so the Lakers are going to have to, Vogel talked about this, the Lakers are going to have to really play catch-up, scheme, plan, and everything kind of on the fly. And it takes away the advantage of being the number 1 seed. The part of the advantage of that is you kind of know what the 8 seed is going to be just by looking at the record. you don't really need to know very much. You know what I mean? Obviously in this scenario, there's a huge race happening and teams are real close. I think the Phoenix is only like 2.5 games out or a game and a half out or something like that. So a couple of losses or a couple of wins and everything gets shook up. So be on the lookout for that. But until then, it's Monday. We don't play again until Thursday at 10:30 in the morning. Some of y'all could be eating your breakfast and watching the Lakers play. That'll be a first time. And then we get ready for the playoffs. I'm really excited, man. We went long tonight because tonight deserved it. And so I want to just do my normal thing, man, and leave you with this. I want to leave you with this, guys, that this year we lost a tremendous legend, and I don't want to forget it, and I don't want us to lose sight of that. But one thing that we have that other teams don't have is that we have something to play for that is far deeper than a cup, far deeper than a trophy, far deeper than a ring. What we're playing for, we're playing for the legend that passed and Kobe Bryant, and Kobe and Gigi obviously are still in our hearts and still in our minds. But as much as they are on our minds as fans, you better believe that it is on LeBron James' mind, Anthony Davis's mind. You got to believe it's on the coach's mind, Jason Kidd's mind, Dwight Howard's mind. You got to know that these guys are going to be playing a little bit different. And the hope is that when you get into those tough times, that they think about what Kobe would do, or they think about the Mamba mentality. And that's what I want to encourage you guys with tonight. You got to remind yourself that even though we're going through a pandemic, racial divide, social injustice, every time you turn on the news, it looks like another tragedy. Just want to remind yourself that we, for 20 years, had the opportunity to see the Mamba mentality at work. A torn Achilles, still shooting free throws, team going up and down, winning championships, losing championships, getting blown out in Boston, coming back and winning against the very same team. We have the ability to get through tough times because we had 20 years of an example in Kobe Bryant. So if I can leave you with anything tonight, Mamba out, but not forgotten. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you on Thursday, maybe.